Hello, Nagi. Welcome to Inherited.
Hi, thanks for having me. So excited to be here.
No, thank you so much for coming on. Myself and the team are so excited to have you. We will talk about your recipe first, and I'm so excited. You are the first cook and chef that we've had on the show.
Really?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, wow, I love that. I hope I can live up to the expectations of Shameless.
Nagi, it's you, of course. So when we did ask for your recipe, though, you said that you can't pick one, which is so fair enough.
Well, and I kid you not, when I said that is the question I hate the most, that when people ask, what is your favourite recipe? Like, how can I choose my favourite recipe? You know, it'd be like asking a parent which one their favourite child is. It's impossible.
Yeah, I bet. Can you take me back then to the first recipe that went viral of yours?
Okay. I was slammed for this one because I called it crack bread. And, you know,
right.
Yeah, because so basically you take a loaf of bread and then you cut it into diamonds and you stuff it with cheese and garlic butter. You bake it and then basically what you do is you pull out these pieces and you get these beautiful, you know, cheese pulls, and it's basically garlic bread on crack. So I called it crack bread, and then a lot of people smashed me for calling it crack because they're like, you shouldn't, you know, make a mockery out of something that's actually quite serious. But that was back in 2015 or 2014, and I think it got it like 100 million Facebook views in that year, and it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts.
Yum. I need to try that bread, though. That sounds absolutely delicious. So last year, your second cookbook, Tonight, sold nearly 300,000 copies in less than 3 months. Nagi, you and your recipes are adored by so many. Can you take me back to those days or moments when you realised you were onto something really brilliant?
I never realised I was onto something brilliant. Never thought that. Still don't think that. I am quite different to... You know, these days on TikTok and social media, you see people go from 0 to 1 million followers seemingly overnight. I'm so not like that. Like, I'm not cool enough to go viral. I literally have just been plodding along, slow and steady. I've been doing this for 10 years now. So, You know, I think to a lot of people who never knew of me before, and now know of me because they've got one of my cookbooks, feel like I came out of nowhere, but it's actually not the case at all. It was slow and steady. I'm really, really boring, Ruby. I'm sorry. I'm really like...
You're not.
Cool social media, like viral stories. I don't post cool foods. I'm actually a total dag. So, but in terms of when I actually knew, I thought that there was something there and I could build a business out of this, it was about 4 months in. Mind you, when I say that, I made $120 that month from my website. So it wasn't big bucks, but that is the point at which I knew I was onto something, and that if I did it right and was consistent and just continued to, you know, work on my photography, learn how to make videos, etc., that eventually I could build something.
Well, you are a jack of all trades because, you know, you're cooking, you're filming, you're editing, you're putting everything together, and it's work. So even though it was a slow and steady race, you should be super proud, and everyone loves it so much.
Oh, thank you.
I'd love to rewind right back to the beginning, Nagi, because I want to know exactly, you know, how you got here as well. What led you here? You grew up with your family in Japan before moving to Australia at a really young age. Can you take me back to little Nagi? What was she like?
So Nagi as a child or Nagi as a teenager? Because they were quite different. One was a complete brat, and the other one was just a crybaby. And it's hard to know which one's which, right? Could have been the crybaby as a teenager. No, I was really naughty. I don't know what you were like as a teenager. Were you a naughty teenager? Because I was naughty.
I definitely like to, you know, forge my own path, I guess. And I did rebel at certain times. And Mum wasn't ever having any of it. I look back now, though, and I'm like, oh, my God, I've changed.
I know. Don't you look back at your teenager and just go, oh, I was so bad. I like to blame my friends. I say that I was easily influenced by naughty friends. So, I just blame my friends. But, yes, I was a rebellious, naughty teenager. I never helped in the kitchen, didn't do dishes, didn't help with cooking. I was a total brat. So, yes, I definitely don't put myself up as any kind of role model. As a kid growing up, I was horrible.
Because how many siblings do you have? 3?
I've got 2.
You got 2. You're one of 3.
Yes, and I was definitely the naughty one because I was the oldest. I like to say I was beating a path for my siblings, like I broke the curfew barriers, I broke all of that. And, their life was a lot easier because of me. I'm the one who went through hell.
Yeah, I'm the eldest daughter as well. So, yeah, we're forging the way.
Exactly.
Can you take me back to your childhood kitchen then? What was it like? Like, set the scene. And so you obviously weren't doing a lot of cooking then or cleaning up?
No, not at all. I did not help in the kitchen at all. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so we lived in a very basic shack and the kitchen was pretty basic. But, I realized today that the whole thing about growing up without money but still eating really well, all credit to my mother to make such incredible food on such a tight budget. But for me, definitely, and I think it's the same with everyone, the food that you eat growing up sets the bar for what you think is delicious food as an adult. So, yeah, I'm just really lucky that even though we didn't have much money, that Mum was such a great cook that, we used to go fishing because when I was growing up, sushi wasn't a thing. So raw fish creeped Australians out. Like nobody was eating raw fish back then. So we used to go fishing to catch our own fresh fish that we would sashimi ourselves.
Beautiful.
Yeah, like how weird is that, right? There were no sushi trains back then. It's so weird to think that like sushi rolls are now standard in school canteens.
Yeah, that is wild.
I know.
We had 2-minute noodles and the cheese toasties. But see, this is interesting that you say sort of what you grow up eating kind of is what you end up liking later in life.
Yeah.
I grew up eating a bit of takeaway, to be honest, and I've spoken about it on Inherited before. I'm a big KFC advocate, and I don't know what you think about
I love KFC. There is no shame. It is shameless. Honestly, I openly say I do the drive-through of shame. Like it is, I'm sorry, that's me. I drink Diet Coke every day, one Diet Coke every day. And I'm the girl who does the Macca's drive-through and gets, a Big Mac and large fries and a Diet Coke. Because the Diet Coke then kind of balances it out, right?
Oh, there's nothing like a Diet Coke from Macca's. But yeah, I do think that because I grew up eating that with a single mum and sometimes that was just the easiest meal to put on the table or 2-minute noodles, I still love eating it now. And I'm proud of that. So yeah,
absolutely.
It's interesting though.
Totally agree.
What do you remember about moving to Australia at such a young age? How old were you at the time?
Nothing. I was 3. So I don't remember anything. Yeah, I do remember coming here and my parents saying, okay, you need to go to an English-speaking school. We're not sending you to a Japanese-speaking school in Australia. Don't speak Japanese at home. You need to learn English as quickly as you can. So, yeah, other than that, I don't have much memories of moving.
Yeah. Your delightful mum, Yumiko, runs the RecipeTin Japan. What has she taught you about the art of cooking? I suppose the older you've gotten as well.
My recipes, and I don't use hers because whenever I feel like Japanese food, I just call her. Isn't that terrible? So I can't cook Japanese food because I've got it on tap. And she doesn't cook my recipes, so because she's such a great cook. So we don't cook each other's recipes, but we eat each other's food, but don't cook each other's recipes.
Do you have a favourite meal of hers that you love to eat? Is there something in particular?
Nobody in the world, not even the best gyoza shops in Japan, make gyoza like my mother. I'm just telling all the gyoza makers in Japan out there. I don't care if you've got a Michelin star. Nobody makes gyoza like my mum.
Yum. So delicious. How has she shaped you as a person then, do you think?
I think the biggest thing is work ethics and independence. So my mum was a single mum as well. So that for me, being financially independent was a huge thing for me from the moment I left high school. So just having that security, I guess, and the work ethics of working long hours and just doing what you have to do basically to survive, keep a roof over your head and food on the table and
Definitely. Hey guys, it's Ruby. I hope today's chat is speaking to you. But I also hope it gets you thinking about your own story, because this podcast is just as much about you as it is our own guests. And pondering your own rituals, recipes, relics, and rules is a beautiful way to sit and reflect on where you're at and where you've come from. Something else you can do, which is super interesting, is to explore your family history via today's sponsor, ancestry.com.au. You might think you know your family history, maybe you know all their names and have heard all the stories being told a million times before, but ancestry.com.au is here to tell you there could be more to your story. and because they have the world's largest collection of family records. We're talking 60 billion of them, including the England and Wales 1921 census. They can go back decades, centuries even, to chart your family tree and create your own rich story. There's never been a better time to learn about your family history with more data available than ever before. So if you love Inherited because we dive into other people's pasts, you'll become addicted to investigating your own. It's easy to get started with a 14-day trial. Just head to ancestry.com.au, terms apply. And a huge thank you to ancestry.com.au for supporting this episode of Inherited. We'll get into your earlier career shortly, but I do want to also ask, in terms of cooking as well, what other ways do you stay connected to your Japanese heritage?
Other than eating? Eating a lot of Japanese food. I mean, I go back to Japan multiple times a year, at least once every year, if not twice, 3 times. So, yeah, Mum, I would say, I mean, she's very Aussie Japanese. She has a lot more Japanese in her sort of day-to-day, the way she lives her life, etc., than we do. So we get exposure to it through that. I can actually speak Japanese, but the biggest way for us is through the food. Yeah, through the food.
Beautiful. Well, we'll get to your relic next. Can you tell me a bit about your relic, Nagi?
Oh, yes. That most of the cutlery and the props and the plates and the glasses that you see in all my photos on my website are literally, they're from the tip or the side of the road. Some of my favourite, pieces of furniture and my shooting surfaces I literally found on the side of the road. Chuck out day is one of my favourite days. Like, I will drive around the suburb, take my dog for a walk around and just dig through piles and just some of the treasures I found. Like, I don't even care about, people look for, I don't know, what do they find that they make a lot of money on, like football jerseys or little antique sculptures and stuff. But for me, it's just, whatever I can put in my food photos.
I love that.
You know the recycling centres at Tips? I love them. Yeah. They're so good. Like, I find all these antique-looking forks and knives and glasses, and I will literally spend like an hour at a recycling tip and then go up to the guy to buy one rusty old fork, and I'll be like, "How much is this, please, sir?" And he'll be like, "Just take it. Just take it." Like, he can't be asked to ring up 10 cents.
So have you always been interested in antiques and secondhand? Like, has that been like a hobby of yours?
No, not at all. No, it was just because of the food photos. Like, I just, like using like a brand sparkling new white plate just doesn't have the same character as getting something that's rusty and chipped and textured and so.
Take me back to the beginning. In 2014, you started your RecipeTin Eats blog. What was the catalyst for starting the blog back then?
So I built this app, like a recipe manager app, called RecipeTin, and it was a complete fail. But basically the name came off the back of that. So, the old tins that people used to keep cards in? Yeah. So, like recipe cards? Yeah, so that's where the name came from, because that's what I used to have. And I tried to build an app. It was back in the day when apps were exploding. But it was just a bad idea. I got the wrong developer. It was never going to succeed. But basically the name carried over. So I basically rolled from this app that didn't work into starting a website where I shared recipes. And it sort of came from just a practical sense. Well, first of all, I didn't know what a food blog was. And I came across this food blog and they were saying they were making money, like a living from it. And I was like, whoa, imagine being able to slap up your favorite recipes online and earning income from it. And so I did some research and, figured out how people were monetizing these food blogs. And then I went away, figured out how I was going to do it, how I was going to differentiate myself from other websites out there, and then, launched it.
Well, RecipeTin Eats, it's always the first that pops up. I actually made your penne all'abbriata. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
It's so simple and it's so good, isn't it?
So simple. I did go to the shops. I didn't have the pantry staples already, but it was so quick. I love it. I love a spicy pasta as well. But I literally put in penne all'abbriata. Yours comes up straight away because you do have a background in corporate finance. You were 35 when you left your role in that field. Is that correct?
Yes.
Some people might think a career pivot in your mid-30s is too late. I don't. I, myself have made career moves at different stages in life. Did you ever doubt it could be too late to follow a passion of yours?
Absolutely. It was crazy. I had people from my corporate life saying, when are you going to come back to the real world? What are you doing? This is nuts. So it was definitely a risk. And I had a certain time that I could give it a go for, because I literally, like, I ran out of money when the website started making money. So I started to, like, I was just on the cusp of going into debt just to pay the rent and keep food on the table. So, you know, I don't think it's ever too late to change careers. But I think there's an element to which you need to go into it with your, you know, having done your research and a sensible plan and understanding what the risks are, and just knowing how long you've got, whether it's financially or any other constraints that you might have. So it's never too late to change careers. I mean, my mum started her website when she was 70.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah.
Is it important to you to follow your passion? How did it feel shifting into something that you loved so much? Was it sad saying goodbye to your corporate career?
I wouldn't say it was sad, but there are elements that I missed because I love being around. Like, I really enjoyed my first career, really enjoyed the people, loved the work. I think the difference is, and you would know this because of what you do, just having something of your own and where it's your face and name against it, and it being something that you enjoy doing, it makes you put more into it, if that makes sense. Not that I wasn't working hard in corporate, but you're putting blood, sweat and tears into this faceless company that don't even know who owns it, like men in suits, you know, from wherever. But when it's your own, it's different. You go that little bit of an extra mile. So, yeah.
Definitely. Did you ever struggle to enjoy your passion and fit it in when you were working a 9 to 5 as well?
No, because, I mean, you have to eat every day. And even if I came home at 10 o'clock at night, I'd still make something, because that is literally what I do to unwind. And even today, I find that it sounds so weird, but I will shoot all day and I'll make food all day and I'll be creating things all day. And then I'll clean up everything and I pack up all the food and I give it away. And then I come home and I make dinner.
You're incredible.
Isn't that weird? I mean, I will take leftovers home, you know, some of the time, but some days there'll be cooking days. Or sometimes I get sick of eating eggplant parmesan 5 days in a row. And so I'll make something else for dinner. But I enjoy it. It's what I do. When people ask me what my hobby is, I sound like a freak because I say, well, my hobby's cooking. So when I'm not cooking for work, I'm cooking for fun.
Do you ever do a meal prep, like on a Sunday night, a typical meal prep, and then, something different most nights? Yeah.
And the other thing is, I'm one of those people that goes to the shops and sees what's on special. So I'll literally go and I'll find something amazing on special, and then the whole meal plan revolves around that.
You're so savvy. Look, 500 million site views per year and 7 million followers across your social platforms. You know, you're a phenomenon, Nagi, and everyone is learning through you. You are.
You should see what I'm wearing underneath here. I'm in my trackies, but it was because it's a podcast. I'm like, I'll be sitting here so no one will be able to see my daggy trackies that are on.
It's the beauty of it, really, isn't it? What do you think is the key, though, to writing a good recipe?
I think knowing who your audience is and their budget constraints and what equipment they have in the kitchen and their knowledge as well. So, for example, you can't write a recipe anymore saying a tablespoon of soy sauce. You've got to specify what kind of soy sauce, because the saltiness and the flavour strength is so different between all of them. And then the other thing is just writing articulately. You've got to actually write well, because if you ramble on too much, or you take too long to explain a step, then you're missing steps, or it's really lengthy, or I think communication is so important. So, and it's the same as what you do, with podcasts. It's how you communicate verbally. You're doing it verbally, and I do it in writing. So it's the same thing. It's just a different form. That's all.
Yeah. And I think personally I can get really flustered in the kitchen sometimes, especially if I'm trying to bash a meal together. I love it if I've got the time and space, but we don't all the time. And I will go to measure something, and then I have to Google, is it that, or is it that teaspoon or that millimeter?
Yeah.
And then I'm disappointed if it doesn't have that taste of sauce that I think it will. Yeah. Hi guys, Ruby here. I hope you loved today's episode of Inherited, but more so I hope it's encouraged you to think about your own story. Even if you're all over your family tree, today's sponsor, Ancestry.com.au, is here to remind us there could be more to our story. They have the world's largest collection of family records, and there's never been a better time to start exploring yours. So get started with the free 14-day trial at ancestry.com.au. All you need is a grandparent's name. A huge thank you to ancestry.com.au for supporting this episode of Inherited. What's your most popular recipe of all time?
Oh, I don't want to tell you. It's really disappointing because I want it to be something really sexy like baklava or German pork knuckle or something like that. But it's not. It's a baked chicken breast. It's like literally probably my most boring recipe that I've got other than how to boil eggs. And they're the two most popular recipes on my website.
There you go.
It's so disappointing. But it kind of makes sense. Like, I joke about that. I say that because I'm disappointed it's not something sexier like my 7-layer lasagna or something. But actually, I guess, the number of times you've got a chicken breast at home, because I always throw chicken breast in my trolley, even if I don't know what I'm going to make with it, or it's in my freezer. And then, when it's expiring on the day and you're like, well, what am I going to do with it that's really low effort? And then I just made up this way of just, like a seasoning and just chuck it in the oven. But the trick is really high temperature for a very short baking time so it's not dried out and miserable, which, most recipes, the recipes that call for like chicken breast to be baked for 40 minutes. I just want to cry because I'm like, it's like eating cardboard. So
right, so really high, and then it's shorter time period in the oven for that one.
Very short time for the baking for chicken breast because it's so lean. It's so lean. It just goes from like perfect to overcooked in 3 minutes. So yeah.
What are we seasoning it with?
So it's just a basic mix of pantry essentials like paprika, onion powder, a bit of thyme, cumin or coriander. And I think the beauty of the seasoning mix is that there's so many different options. So it says, if you don't have paprika, just use this. And so there's lots of switch outs. But the secret ingredient is a bit of brown sugar.
Right.
Because a little bit of brown sugar lets the chicken breast caramelize so you don't end up with like a pale, flaccid, boring chicken breast.
I think I've ended up with that one quite a few times. I need to try this baked one though, and I will be next week, that's for sure. How long have you spent perfecting a recipe before, do you think?
Well, my record stands at 89 times for my vanilla cake, which happened during COVID when everyone was stuck at home. So I had a bit of time on my hands to be able to do that. And it's just one of those things when I started, I just found I couldn't stop. Like I'm that kind of crazy person that will lie awake at night, just like, just grappling in my head what I'm going to do next and where I went wrong, etc. And like right now I'm trying to copy these cookies, Butterboy cookies. It's famous cookies in Sydney. And I still haven't cracked it, but every night I go to bed and it irritates me. So bad. So bad.
I love it though. You need that dedication. What do you think it is with the cookies that's not working right now?
Well, I thought I had it, but then what I did was I tried to make it with like baking trays that I thought a lot of Australians would have because I've got fairly good ones, and I found it just didn't work as well. Like it wasn't as crispy, it wasn't as chewy. So I was just tweaking the recipe to just make it I just want people with normal equipment, which is the majority of people in Australia, to have the same outcome that I've got. So I'm still grappling with it. But, I'll get there. No recipes defeated me yet, I don't think.
Yeah. And that's the fun of it all as well, right?
Exactly.
What do you think are 5 ingredients everyone should have at all times in their pantry or their fridge?
Butter, garlic, white wine, gochujang is a very, very quick shortcut ingredient. Chili crisp. If you've got chili crisp, you can make a dinner out of anything.
What is chili crisp?
It's basically like, it's a chili sauce. Nowadays you can get it pretty much every supermarket. And it's got crunchy bits of garlic in it. And most of them are not very spicy, but they've got a lot of it's a little bit sweet. It's got garlic in it and it's got tons of flavour. And you can literally, the reason it's the perfect secret ingredient, so you just need to find the brand that suits you, whichever one you like the most. But it's one of those ingredients where you can just pan fry a chicken breast with nothing other than salt, pepper, and a bit of olive oil, and then slice it up and you dollop the chili crisp across, and you've got an amazing dinner. Delicious. And I remember I did a 2-ingredient steak for Sydney Morning Herald. I did a 2-ingredient steak recipe, and it was literally steak with chili crisp dolloped across when you slice it. And it's like one of my most popular recipes on that website. It's nuts.
Yum.
So, yeah.
I do have that now in my pantry. When you were describing it, I was like, that is chili crisp. I remember the label on the front.
It's perfect. Yeah. So
you can put it on everything.
Yeah. So no matter how boring the dish is, if you just put chili crisp on it, you can make a meal out of it. So even noodles. So if you just got plain noodles or ramen, 2-minute noodles, cook up your 2-minute noodles, and then once you drain it, just mix chili crisp through, and that'll be dinner.
Yeah. That is my dinner a lot of the time. And my best friend, Matilda, who I live with, she's an incredible cook. She is someone that can just go to the fridge, open the door, and her go-to is like a rice vermicelli salad. Sometimes she'll do tuna, sometimes she'll do tofu because she's pescatarian. But she is just so incredible in the kitchen, and I love it because we are pretty opposite in that regard. But I love seeing people that are so passionate. It brings her so much joy, and it's just incredible, I think, when you can open your pantry or fridge and be able to cook with what you've got. Yeah. I struggle.
But it's okay. You live with Matilda.
Yeah. She'll be listening now.
I just put the pressure on her now. You need to keep Ruby fed, Matilda.
She does. So building a successful business with an engaging social presence, Nagi, doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you've got 1.5 million followers on your personal Instagram alone. It takes a lot of hard work, discipline, grit, and time. What do you think has been like the most challenging part of your journey?
I think pushing through the really busy times, because up until about 3 or 4 years ago, it was just me and my dog, and, we would plod along and I'd publish 3 recipes a week. But once I started a food bank and I got a team, and then I did the cookbook, and my world just sort of opened up a little bit. So now I do quite a few things other than just publishing recipes on my website, which back then it was not cruisy, but I was very much in a routine. These days we just do a lot more. Like, we do cooking events, we do charity events. We've got the food bank, which is, works 5 days a week. So it's just a bit busier. And so having that grit to push through those busy times, meet deadlines, etc., comes back to what you said before about doing something that you love and are truly passionate about. I think that is what gives you the fuel to push through those hard times. And I think any small business owner would completely understand. The number one trait I always say is you've got to have grit for the hard times.
How do you feel about being a public figure too? Because you do have such a big following, like with RecipeTin Eats and you.
I don't think about that at all. I honestly don't feel that at all. I'm just me. Like I said, if you could see what's on the bottom half of me, that's me. Trackies.
That's why everyone loves you so much. You're so relatable.
That's code for dag.
Not at all. I'd be in my trackies if I could right now. What do you think has been the most rewarding part of the journey then for you?
Oh, being able to start my food bank. Absolutely. That was always, when I first started my own business, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have my own not-for-profit one day? And because of COVID, I started it a lot sooner than I expected to. But yeah, it's so rewarding to have a business that essentially exists to support the food bank. So yeah, it's amazing. It's a great feeling.
That launched it during COVID. What was the process behind getting RecipeTin meals up?
It was basically because during COVID we noticed that there was an immediate and you'd understand during COVID with the restaurants that closed down, a lot of the food banks rely on restaurants for surplus ingredients and leftover meals. And so we noticed an increased need for food in our community. And at the time I had a chef working I just had hired a chef who used to have a catering company. And so his kitchen wasn't being used because of COVID. And so we basically hired some chefs to work out of his kitchen, and we just immediately started making meals and distributing them to people who needed it. And we just never stopped. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've since donated 300,000 meals to those in need. So, and that's the RecipeTin Meals Kitchen. Are you mainly based there? Are you out there most days cooking?
Oh, I'm there most days, but I'm not based there. I have a separate office where I do the shooting for my website. And the food bank is actually it's a proper commercial kitchen. So like what you see in restaurants, it's all like metal surfaces and huge ovens that'll bake 100 pieces of chicken at the same time. And yeah.
How do you feel looking back on everything you've achieved, Nagi?
I feel like it hasn't sunk in yet because I'm still me, I've still got the same friends. My friends still give me as much grief as they always did. Like nothing from my end has changed, if that makes sense. It's just that my business side is just a little busier and a little more diversified. So, Yeah, but I'm just trying to enjoy it. Because I always say, you just never know how things will last, how long things will last. Things can change overnight. Someone could shut down TikTok, for example, in a
Yeah.
second like that. So genuinely, especially in this online world, I feel like you just never really know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm just really grateful for everything that we've got. I'm really grateful for my team. I'm so lucky to have such an incredible team. I just want to enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah. It looks like you are, like, having the best time. Everyone at home, we can just tap in and get an easy tutorial on how to make something. So, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Nagi. We all love it. And you had was it your debut last year on MasterChef?
Oh, yes! That was so much fun. It was so funny.
How was it?
It was so good. Everyone who asks how it was, I have one takeaway, like literally one standout takeaway, is that I couldn't go to the toilet as often as I wanted to, which sounds ridiculous because I swear I have the world's smallest bladder, so I go to the toilet a stupid number of times a day. But I just remember looking around the room and there were so many cameramen and so many producers and, sound guys. And I'm like, oh my God, must cost them like $20,000, $30,000 an hour to do this show. And then I was like, no wonder they won't let me go to the toilet. It cost me $7,000 for a toilet break. Going, okay, everyone, we just need to cut. I need to go to the toilet for the 20th time today.
I love it.
So they were like, give me my water bottle, and they'd be like, just a small sip, Nagi, just a small sip.
That is hilarious.
It was so funny. Is it weird that that's like my standout memory from the MasterChef experience?
No, not at all. Well, you watch the program and you go, like, how long has that been meal sitting there for? Is it cold still? Is it warm? Like, you want the ins and outs of the MasterChef world.
Yeah.
Who is Nagi outside RecipeTin Eats? The one that we don't get to see all the time.
It's funny. Honestly, what you see is what you get in real life as well. Yeah. I remember I went through a phase when I first started my website. I tried to put on lunches and photograph them and stuff where I was like, I just want to be like Nigella. I just want to be poised and, calm and in control and glamorous and have a beautiful table setting. And I just got to accept that that's just not me. I'm a little bit chaotic. I'm a little bit messy. I'm just... Yeah, what you see is honestly what you get because I can't fake it. And I have tried. And I don't get filters. They feel, even social media filters. I feel like every time I try one, it just looks so fake. And then people would see me in real life and they'll be like, you don't look anything like you do on social. It just, yeah. So... yeah.
Well, you're so infectious and funny as well. I think that's what I love about your content too. You always have a funny one-liner and we love you for you, Nagi.
Oh, that's hilarious. Thanks, Ruby.
We'll finish on your ritual today. What is your ritual?
And this is no the slightest bit of exaggeration. I eat cheese every single day. Some form of cheese. Whether it's just a little bit of feta crumbled on my avocado toast, that would be baseline. But when you go to the fridge to snack, I'm always reaching for cheese. Always. I will have a block of Comté in there or a beautiful brie and I'll put some on bread or crackers or... I just love it. Even if it's a tub of, this is barely cheese, cottage cheese.
Yum.
Yeah. Do you have cottage cheese in the fridge?
I've got feta at the moment. I've been putting on feta in my salads a bit, my pasta salad, a cold one, as well as always pasta.
Oh,
so
how
probably
good
parmesan.
is it? Yeah, because you can just crumble it and just it just makes everything more interesting, right? It doesn't matter what it is. So, yes, I have an abnormal amount of cheese in the fridge. I have a fridge, what I call a cheese basket. In fact, at the office, I have 2 cheese baskets, which are 2 baskets in the fridge filled with all sorts of cheese.
Do you have a favourite type? No, just all sorts.
Yeah, all sorts, because I feel like everything's got a different purpose. But feta is a great all-rounder because, I said, you can put it on things like avocado toast in the morning and it just makes something fairly plain, just a little bit more interesting. But pasta salads, hot pastas, cold pastas, salads as well. In your sandwich, you can whip it and turn it into a dip.
I need to try that.
So, yeah, oh my gosh, feta is so dip. And you can bake it as well. And if you bake it, it goes warm and creamy. So, yeah, there's so many things you can do with it. And even a boring soup. If you have a soup where you eat it and you're like, and then you just crumble a bit of feta on it, it just makes everything interesting. So, feta's a great one. Feta's really, really good. Very, very versatile.
Do you remember that viral pasta that was on TikTok a couple of years ago?
The baked feta.
the feta around the cherry tomatoes and the olive and the garlic. Was that it? I think that was all that was in it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, Danish feta. Yeah. Totally works. I did it. Yeah.
Beautiful. And you also did say you would drink French champagne too if livers were invincible.
Oh, yeah.
Do you love French champagne?
Yes. I feel really, really disloyal saying that because Australian sparkling is good, but it's just not as good as champagne. It's just not. I hate myself for saying that because people keep trying to, they're like, you got to support the Australian wine industry. And I do. Wine, but not the sparkling. Can't be.
I love champagne.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I got spoiled in my corporate days because I'd go out to like a lot of work dinners and, the bosses would order nice champagne and I just couldn't go back. It'd be like flying business class and then having to go back to cattle class. Like, how would you do that?
Yeah. It's difficult. Where are you when you're having or pouring a French champagne? What's the vibe?
Oh, it'll be anywhere. Because I had some last night.
I love it. How do you prioritize you time when you're running such a wildly popular and successful business?
100% truth, I really struggle. So 2025 is the year in which I'm trying to find that balance because I haven't been able to find the balance in the last few years since things started getting really busy. So I'm not a good one to set an example on that. And I'm actually right now just trying to sort it out and find that balance.
Yeah. Is there ever a day when you don't feel inspired by cooking? I guess it's such a huge passion of yours, but...
Yeah, no. Because even on a day that I don't cook or even on a Sunday when I'm being a total sloth and I don't leave the couch, I'll be watching food channels on TV.
Sunday is such a foodie day. It's the best day for eating and planning and...
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's really daggy, but if I'm not cooking it, I'm talking about it or researching or going to a restaurant or thinking about what my next meal is going to be or watching it. So it's my hobby in the same way some people play guitar or some people do like sports, exercise. Some people go to the gym and I eat cheese.
If you do have a day off to yourself, how are you spending it? With Doza?
Yeah, Doza. So chilling out with Doza, and I don't even read novels. I read cookbooks. I would travel out, somewhere. I drive for food. I love going out to find new places. So I'll take the day or I take the morning and just go out and drive somewhere that I've never been before and just explore new places. Even going to like ethnic grocery stores. When you go to ethnic neighborhoods and you go to the grocery stores, like that to me is my idea of fun.
Yeah. Well, Nagi, we finish every episode with one final question with our guests, and it's what is something you intend on passing on, and who are you passing it on to?
I like to think that I'm passing on all my recipes for the world to have forever.
Yeah.
But even after I'm long gone, I hope my website continues and people can continue using the recipes forever. So is that a weird one? Is that a bit boring?
No, that's it. I mean, they will be there forever and millions of people over the world adore them. So thank you so much, Nagi, for coming on Inherited. I really appreciate it as well, you taking out your time. So thank you.
Fun. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
No worries at all. You've been watching Inherited, and just a quick one, we are a new show, so if you want to help support us, make sure you click subscribe on YouTube and hit the like button right now as well. It's how we grow our audience, and it's really the best way for us to continue speaking to incredible guests. We'll be back with another episode next Tuesday. I'll see you then.